we're talking about mistakes that home buyers make. My name is Nune. I work for Compass. I'm a real estate agent. And today I'm talking to Sam Melkonian of Boston Mortgage Solutions. And he's a lender, a fabulous lender. And I wanted to hear his point of view as well, and also to have a more holistic approach to this. Mistake number one is not researching the neighborhood. So you see a house that you fall in love with and you say, okay, this is it, I'm buying the house, without doing the research of the neighborhood. You need to know what's going to be built around the house that you're interested in, the transportation, parks, cafes and all that. A lot of people are very good at checking those things, but in case you are not one of those, so you need to do as much digging as possible. And of course, hopefully you have a real estate agent who can help you do that.
Details of the schools and everything like that. So this
right.
It's very, very important.
And also crime rates, as a real estate agent, I cannot tell you, oh, the crime rate is high or low in this area. But you can do your own research. You can go to Trulia or some other websites, or best thing to do is call the police department in that town and ask them the question. And remember, no matter what town, what neighborhood you decide on, there's always some crime everywhere. So it's a relative thing, right?
That's true. That's true.
Yes. How can you check for schools? First of all, you have the US News high school rankings. And usually if the high school is good, usually the other schools are pretty good too, the middle school and elementary school. You can look it up on niche.com. And you can talk to the superintendent or find people who live, that's a long shot, finding the people that live there and have kids in the school. But at least check the rankings.
The available sources that are there, and they're easy to find, right?
Right. They're online, so very easy. Number two is overlooking hidden costs. And Sam, I want you to talk about this, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll take it from here a little bit, expand on the hidden costs. So while we're actually looking at the overall, let's just say down payments, the people are concentrated on the down payments. It's like, all right, is it 20%, 10%, 3%, and everything. They actually forget about the fact that there are some closing costs and prepaids, as we call them. So a little bit about that in a nutshell. So this is the cost that you have to basically have accounted for during the purchase. Appraisal costs, there's underwriting costs, there's everything, plus the escrows and prepaids. That includes the taxes and insurance and all that stuff. So yes, you have to always have a certain percentage of the purchase price to basically dedicate it to the closing costs.
So would you say closing costs are like 2% of purchase price? Is there a formula like that?
I would say 2%. I would just,
okay.
But the best thing to do is to ask your mortgage professional about the actual cost, because they can calculate based on the county. So I have 3 licenses. I have in Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and California. Everywhere the cost is different, because in New Hampshire, for example, this you have this tax stamps. Right. And here we don't have it. So a lot of things there. So I would recommend speaking with the right professional, obviously important to find the right professional, and ask those questions. They'll be happy to answer.
So, and also maintenance costs. If you're buying a totally new house, the maintenance costs are lower because you don't need to replace the roof in 2 years or think about heating system. But if you're buying a house from 1940, you might have to consider all those costs that are part of your property cost.
And I think that ties kind of into the actual home inspection portion that you actually will be talking about. So one of the points there is actually home inspection.
Yes.
Which basically
let's not go.
Oh, well, okay, that's fine.
Wait a second.
Fine.
So number 3 is failing to get a pre-approval before even looking at houses. And Sam, what do you think about that?
All right, so looking at the house and you like the house, but you can't purchase that house, that's kind of counterproductive, in my opinion. So the best thing to do is, and disappointing, also the emotions involved and everything. So how about this? Start the process by being pre-approved, pre-qualified by a professional or a lender or a broker or bank, whatever it is, credit union. And the most important part is to ask the right questions. And the right questions will bring you to the right place. So for the simplest formula to understand, 1/3 of your gross income goes into us qualifying you for the purchase. So if all the expenses associated, monthly expenses associated with a particular property, principal and interest, taxes and insurance, if you add them all together, if there is mortgage insurance in it, if that is 1/3 of your gross income for the entire family, then basically you say like, all right, well, I can qualify for this.
So the next mistake that people make, first-time home buyers make, is waiving the home inspection. And let me tell you a little bit about how you can waive the home inspection, but at the same time do a home inspection. First, you do the home inspection before you make an offer. If you like the house, you think you're gonna be buying the house, it's better to do a before inspection. If you are in a multiple offer situation, if there's no competition, you don't need to do anything like that. But if you are against 3-4 other buyers that really want the house, there is a big chance that one of them or two of them will waive the inspection, and then you will not have a competitive edge, because sellers don't like if the buyers are going to do inspections, because it opens a can of worms. You don't want to go into it as a seller. So you can do a pre-offer inspection, 1-hour consultation, bring a contractor, bring a licensed inspector who can do just a consultation. Do you have anything to add, Sam?
Well, this is you got to find a way to actually understand what's going on with the house. I mean, you can't just go blindly and buy it, obviously. But this is the way. This is another way to basically do it, so it doesn't actually hurt your possibility of getting the place.
Right.
This
and
is what
the 1-hour inspection covers the major items, the things that will take a lot of money for you to fix. So
plus the educational portion.
Right.
Don't you want to know what's going on with your house?
Exactly.
Don't you want to know where the shut-off valve is and all those things? I mean, there are certain things that those inspectors actually they do provide huge value, in my opinion.
The other major mistake is for first home buyers, they fall in love with the house because of the cosmetic updates. They see, oh, the kitchen is dreamy and the bathrooms are updated and in all the latest fashion. So they look at that, they fall in love, and they don't look at major things. But for me, I would rather see a 1940s house that has major things done, like the new roof, new windows, maybe the heating system is updated completely, the AC, so major things are done, but maybe the kitchen and the bathrooms are not updated, they look pretty bad. But you can buy the house and then renovate and do
the
all
way
those
you
things.
want it.
Exactly.
Renovate the way you want it instead of actually leaving it to somebody that they decided to do certain things. So exactly, I would also rather buy a house that actually has.
But it's so hard. I mean, the first-time home buyers are emotional buyers, and that's another point in our list that you shouldn't buy a house emotionally. We understand that it is as a first-time home buyer buying your first home. You feel pride. You feel you want to even show off to your friends.
It's the biggest purchase of your life, obviously.
Yes, and you go for the pretty houses that have cosmetic updates. And our advice to you is don't do that. First of all, you're gonna pay a premium for those cosmetic updates, and then do the major things yourself, like heating and roof and all that. Instead, buy a house that has all those things done, and then do the cosmetic things later. And then when it's time to sell, you will put that equity in your pocket.
Absolutely.
Instead of paying that.
Emotional is always bad. Do we agree?
But it's hard. We
Well, control your emotions.
The other mistake that first-time homebuyers make, and I don't see a lot of them making that mistake, is not going with a real estate agent. Do you see that a lot?
Yeah, lately probably less. But but it's kind of like a notion in that, hey, listen, if we go directly to the listing broker, we're going to get a better deal or something like that. Again, that portion I'll leave it to you. But this is kind of technically you don't have anybody working for you and representing your needs. Technically, you're leaving it. Plus, double agency is not allowed, right? So double representation is not allowed. So the listing broker, if you go. It is allowed. Okay.
Yes, you can be a dual agent.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Hold on. But don't you still represent, your fiduciary duty is to represent the seller's needs, even though you're kind of doing the dual thingy?
So for me, if I have an exclusive agreement with the seller, if a buyer comes and says, you know what, I want to buy this house, I don't have an agent, they're my customer, they're not my client. My fiduciary responsibility still goes with the seller. So it's not a good idea. I've seen so many people make that mistake and they got burned.
You want somebody on your team, technically. This is the
Yes.
bottom line.
Please explain what the risks are when it comes to taking too much debt.
So getting a mortgage and getting pre-approved is actually a lot of it is planning. You gotta plan it. The way you plan this thing is actually, well, you talk to the a mortgage broker or the loan officer, whatever it is, the situation is. You need to know one thing: that taking debt during the process or even prior to that starting it is a bad idea, because the way it works, it actually hurts the process. It takes away your qualified income. So that 1/3 we talked about earlier, it basically starts dropping. So you can your qualification goes down, and technically you can't afford the house that you want.
Oh,
So
good.
always before taking new debt, talk to your loan officer. Understand how much you can take, because sometimes it happens. People need to change their cars, or something happens during the process. So the best thing to do, communication is the key.
The other mistake is rushing the process. So you see a house, you say, okay, I'm buying the house, and you rush through it.
Yeah.
Big mistake, right?
That's true.
So make sure to do all the due diligence, check everything, and that's where I come in. That's where I shine. Is I help you. I'll give you sources so that you can know where to check for things and do all the due diligence, calling the town hall, building department, zoning department, all that, checking on flooding zone. Maybe the house is in the flood zone and the current owners had no clue. They never paid any flood insurance. It still might be in a flood zone, and you find out later. So it's better.
And speaking of the
Yes.
seller portion, actually true. It comes up during the mortgage process. So interestingly enough, if you don't have a mortgage, majority of people don't have flood insurance, because if it's not required, why would you take it? So sellers
Right.
never really go voluntarily buy flood insurance. The only time it comes up is when somebody has a mortgage. Majority of the time, people that sell, elderly people or something, they have no idea, because their properties are free and clear. So absolutely, directly to the point.
Yeah. Other mistake that first-time home buyers make is forgetting their future needs. So let's say you are thinking of having children in 3 years, not now. So you're buying for today's needs and forgetting that in 3 years you might need an extra bedroom, or your elderly parents are gonna move in with you or something. So think about the future and plan accordingly, because you don't want to move in 2 years, 3 years. That's too short of a time. At least 5 years. If you can plan 5 years in advance, that's a great thing.
Absolutely. 5 years, I would say, like, it's the shortest that you need to do it, because it's very important. You can outgrow the space in 1 year.
Yes.
You never know what happens.
If you don't plan. If you like this video, watch my next video, which is about Belmont, Massachusetts.
Oh.
Anything else you want to add?
Well, this is a pleasure. First of all, it's great that we're sitting down, going through all these interesting issues, and something that actually people can get educated on.
Yes.